Nothing should come to shock you when it comes to political headlines and updates occurring just over the last 24 hours. Well, that was until the last 24 hours. Another Trump assassin charged, as Schiff and Cheney and Pelosi, well, now have their nightmare realized. And that's a fraction of what occurred. If you just simply follow the money trail right now, and our focus here on this battle of Trump versus China, or more specifically, we the people versus China, and the developments that have just occurred that go to frame in the arguments we've been making for many years, you cannot afford to miss the information you're about to receive in just 1 minute. So sit back and hold on. Hope you got your coffee like I have mine this morning, because I needed it to keep up with everything that just happened. How about this vote here? 208 no's versus 220 yeses. What would inspire the vast majority, outside of 4 Democrats, to vote no on? Well, it's a bill that just passed. The bill championed by Republicans, the SAFE Act, will mandate documentary proof of citizenship to vote in federal elections. Should be fairly black and white. When you want to vote, you should have I don't like the real ID, but nonetheless, I'll read what it says. Real ID compliant driver's license, a U.S. passport, or a birth certificate paired with a government-issued photo ID. Most Americans, I believe, would support that. Well, most Americans except almost every single Democrat. So what would be the reason for that? Well, you know what the reason is. I can't wait to see it in the comments below, but that just goes to show you the internal battle we have to deal with out on top of the external battle we have to deal. If that doesn't open the eyes of most Americans, I don't know what will. But they seem to be sleeping through everything. Of course, the Democrats hate Doge. An initial survey of unemployment insurance claims since 2020 reveal the following. 24.5 thousand people over the age of 115 have received $59 million in benefits. 28,000 people between the ages of 1 and 5 claim $254 million in benefits. 9.7 thousand people with birth dates over 15 years in the future claim $69 million in benefits. And someone born in 2,154, that's right, claimed $41,000 in benefits. This was the news that Karen Levitt and Trump and Elon Musk have been talking about that was coming out. But I guess maybe that's not enough to open the eyes of everyday Americans, is it? Your tax dollars are going to pay fraudulent unemployment claims for fake people born in the future. This is so crazy that I had to read it several times before it sank in. And how long has this been going on, huh? Day after day after day, they expose this operation to pay your and my taxpayer dollars. Now, I'm still waiting for a tax cut. I know you are too. I'd like to see some of this money start trickling down, but I'm going to let the mechanisms work for a while longer. Remember, I base everything on results. Not talking points, not ex posts, nothing else. Results. House unanimous. Wait. We actually had a 424-0 vote in the House. I didn't think that was ever going to be possible, but it was for the right people. Finally. The Prioritizing Veterans Survivors Act, also known as H.R. 1228, was passed by the House by a 424-0 majority, demonstrating a strong bipartisan effort to return the Office of Survivors Assistance to its former position under the Secretary of Veteran Affairs. And thank you to each and every veteran. This is the least of what you deserve for defending this great Republic of the United States of America. And it's about damn time that happened. But there's a lot that's about to come out. Oh, don't worry. Wait till you hear about Schiff, Cheney, and Pelosi and the nightmare that was just realized. And also what Trump was looking for, establishing the congressional budget for the United States government for fiscal year of 2025. Well, that also passed the House. Well, except for 2 Republicans, Massey and Sparks. They said no. Didn't really expect nothing else other than that. Congratulations on the House on the passage of the bill that sets the stage for one of the greatest and most important signings in the history of our country, among many other things. It will be the largest tax and regulation cuts ever even contemplated. Make America great again. Coming out of Donald J. Trump. And again, just the tip of the iceberg. This $1.5 trillion in spending cuts. But he spent $1+ trillion on defense. Well, honestly, they're always going to spend money. Folks, they're government officials. They're never not going to spend money, no matter how much we hope that they won't. But at least I'm happy to see our money being spent on the defense of the great Republic of the United States of America, rather than lining the pocketbooks, as Doge pointed out, of those who weren't even born yet. But we're going to rapid fire forward now. Back to the Chinese saga. Because China admitted something in December, which goes to reinforce the entire arguments we've been giving you and really keep everything black and white. And you know that's what I work on here. Try to cover all the primary topics for you as quick as humanly possible, putting them in very black and white and simple terms. And if you like that, and you like knowing you got one place to go each day, well, that is if you've subscribed, then that is if your bell is checked to all, so you're actually alerted to my broadcast. And that is my ask for you today. If you enjoy that format and you know you have one place to go to get everything recapped on top of the critical stories, I just want you to subscribe. If you have the means, you could join as a member here. That's another means of support. Those who provide super thanks when you love the videos, man, that absolutely warms my heart when I see it happen. And then those of you who take the additional step and go to Restricted Republic, the platform that Lisa Haven and I paid for. We used no sponsors, no corporate money, because we wanted to be beholden to no one but our audience. There's news there you can't get anywhere else, and we do it every single day. It's an amazing platform, and yesterday so many of you moved over and joined, and you're about to realize what real news was meant to sound like over there. No commercials, no interruptions, just stone cold hard facts, and we reference everything we say because we want you to dig in on us. We want you to question everything, because if you ain't question everything, then really watch out in how you interpret politics, because it takes a lot of digging to find out what's actually happening. And also special thanks, yesterday's video, a bombshell. One of my biggest in recent history. If you didn't see it, I'll put a link above. I want you to check it out. But now let's roll back into this broadcast. Chinese hacking against U.S. infrastructure threatens American lives. About the only thing Chris Wray actually had right, in my opinion. This is a world where a major crisis halfway across the planet could well endanger the lives of Americans. Here at home, through the disruption of our pipelines. What just happened on Keystone? I digress. The serving of our telecommunications, the pollution of our water facilities, the crippling of our transportation modes, all to ensure that they can incite societal panic and chaos to deter our ability to marshal military might and civilian will. And who was doing that? Well, China's been doing it. But China has always claimed they weren't, of course. Chinese hackers are positioned on American infrastructure in preparation to wreak havoc and cause real-world harm to American citizens and communities if or when China decides the time has come to strike. Warnings abound. Nobody does anything about it, though, right? Just warnings, more talking points, no results. And it's why I remained aggravated about it. Public enemy number one, as I've told you, China. This was called Volt Typhoon. Even the tech titans talking about it, except for it appears now one tech titan, well, they're in the hot seat. I'm going to get there in a moment. China has consistently denied carrying out cyber attacks against the U.S. or other nations while saying American spy agencies are guilty of such conduct. Well, that was then. So let's go forward. Major story coming out of the Wall Street Journal. In secret meeting, China acknowledged role in U.S. infrastructure hacks. Now you start to see why I've been screaming from the rooftops about this for so long. Why everything Trump is doing, the centrifuge focus has always been China. And I'm going to continue to repeat that. Chinese officials acknowledged in a secret December meeting that Beijing was behind a widespread series of alarming cyber attacks on U.S. infrastructure, according to two people familiar with the matter, underscoring how hostilities between the two superpowers are continuing to escalate. The Chinese delegation linked years of intrusions into computer networks at U.S. ports, water utilities, airports, think about what's happening right now, and other targets to increase U.S. policy support for Taiwan. Due to increasing U.S. policy support for Taiwan. So if they decide to invade Taiwan, they may have the mechanisms in place to go and cause a major incident here so we can focus our assets on defense of Taiwan. Is a fraction of the story. Now they admitted it. I don't know how much more evidence people need. How much intrusion is here? How much are they trying to invade us from every means possible? It ties into Panama, it ties into Greenland, ties into Mexico, ties into Canada, ties into the tariffs. But let's go a step further, right? Because Marquis Zuckerberg decided to be best friends with the White House all of a sudden, and I warned you, there's a reason he's doing that. Something was going to be exposed, right? Well, that something just exposed itself.
So I want to just be clear about this. Here in this document, Facebook is talking about making Chinese user data available to the Chinese government because they're going to store that data in China. Is that correct?
Correct.
But when you store that data in China, Americans who exchange messages or other information with Chinese Facebook users, that would mean the Chinese government could get access to the American data as well. Is that correct?
Through the POP servers, potentially, yes.
And Facebook was willing to take that risk?
Yes, there was a lot of discussion about this, and ultimately, yes.
I mean, this is extraordinary. This is exactly contrary to what Facebook has represented for years. Here, they're willing to build data centers, store data in China. They are willing explicitly to give the Chinese government access to it. And if that means that American user data is also compromised, they're willing to do that too. All for profits in China. There was virtually nothing they weren't willing to do.
And that wasn't just any witness. That was Sarah Wynne Williams. That was one of Zuckerberg's right-hand people. She's fined every time she says the word Facebook. She did that, according to her own testimony, under threat from Facebook. What our investigation has revealed, Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg did business with the Chinese Communist Party, built censorship tools for them, and turned over user data and lied about it to Congress. And now what happens? Well, Holly tells you what's about to happen. And here you have it, straight from a former Facebook employee. Meta was willing to store data in China and give the Chinese government access to it, all for profit. To hell with America's user data and personal information. It's all been profit and power, and now Holly is considering a criminal referral for Zuckerberg. Now you see why he warmed up to the White House suddenly? He has nothing in mind but money. Now, will there be action behind this? Oh, we'll see. Results are what matters. But it goes into the Chinese saga. Because the administration has said out loud everything it's doing, it just mainstream media doesn't want to listen to it. I wonder why they don't want to listen to it, huh? Why did Hollywood not listen to it? Well, they were spending a lot of money, or getting a lot of money from China to produce those films for China. Space Force commander in Greenland sent out email breaking with Vance after his visit. What did she do? I don't presume to understand current politics, but what I do know is the concerns of the U.S. administration discussed by Vice President Vance on Friday are not reflective of the space base. Really? Do you know he represents your commander-in-chief, right? It appears there's many female members of the military who suddenly are just thumbing their nose at the administration. I guess they were allowed to do whatever the hell they wanted to do before. Always with these NATO ties, too. It's a story that's developing. President Trump has made his vision for an enhanced security footprint in the Arctic abundantly clear. What did I tell you about the Arctic? It is a major transport route for Russia and China. And so by going to Greenland, we can defend against any potential intrusion coming through that region. Trump has told you that from the beginning. But if you don't believe me, and you don't believe why they're purging these admirals, we just covered this yesterday. Another admiral taken out because she wouldn't put up the picture of Trump and Vance. They thumbed their nose at the chain of command. You're not there to have your own thoughts. No, you're there to follow direction and directive. But yet they appear to just be, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want to do. I don't care what my commander-in-chief says. But Vance told you specifically in this clip here why they're doing what they're doing and how it always involves China.
What is the alternative? To give up the North Atlantic, to give up the Arctic to China, to Russia, and to other regimes that don't have the best interest of the American people at heart? We have no other option. We need to take a significant position in Greenland to keep the people here safe, but to keep our own country safe too.
Time and time again. Not any different than you are. I may just have a different ability to look at the news and put it into understandable terms, and why we can link here. Why the tariffs, why the story, and no, I don't want ads. Why is there always ads on everything? Everything. China increases tariffs on U.S. imports 125%. My thought process will be that Trump today, maybe even prior to me getting this broadcast out, I want him to raise it even further. They should put 400%. And why? Oh, that's going to hurt us. Hold. There's an economic theory at the very end of this video, because I won't take everybody else's time, but if you really want the economic theory behind this, because it's existed forever, I'm going to read it to you. Well, let's go here. Why Trump blinked. I told you they would do this, right? I told you they would do this yesterday. Why Trump blinked on tariffs just hours after they went into effect. The Wall Street Journal. The Atlantic. Trump blinked. Why are they saying that? Did Trump blink? No. Trump had the cancer expose itself. And we're going to cover why this economic theory is so important. Trump told you, based on the lack of respect China has shown the world's markets, I hereby raising the tariffs charged by China to 125%. He's going to go far above that. We're not done. This fireworks show is not over. To me, it's even more than 4D tariff chess, because it's already been written. The plan's been written. The economic structure has already been written. Percent, what do we lose by the Chinese raising tariffs on us? We export 1/5 to them of what they export to us. So who's really losing in this battle? And what happens with the yuan yesterday? It tanks. This is about U.S. dollar might, us retaking the world economy in a leadership position. Why? Because we consume a lot of stuff. That could be good or bad, but we consume a lot. Without the U.S. consumer, all these monies going to these foreign countries just dry up. They can't survive it. It's why the EU is kneeling, why all these countries came to us, except for one. Don't believe me, don't believe Percent, don't believe Trump, don't believe economic policy. I'll give you Kevin O'Leary, who's actually supported Trump's trade policies. 104% tariffs of China aren't enough. 400% tariffs tomorrow morning. Let's just triple down on this. I do business in China, O'Leary said on CNN. They don't play by the rules. They've been in the World Trade Organization for decades. They've never abided by any of the rules they agreed to when they came in for decades. They cheat. They steal IP. They're in our universities. They're spying on us. They take our technology. They take our secrets and they use it. And this is a friend? No. And if they do it, you can't litigate it in their courts. There's nothing you can do. They take the technology, they steal it, they manufacture, and then they sell it back to us cheaper. That's a great ally, right? What did the Biden administration do? Oh, he allowed it to get worse. O'Leary goes on.
Nobody has taken on China yet, not the Europeans, no administration for decades. As someone who actually does business there, I've had enough. I speak for millions of Americans. The government cheats and steals, and finally, an administration, you may not like Trump, you may not like his style or his rhetoric, finally, an administration that puts up and says enough.
Oh, what a novel thought, huh? Finally, somebody is standing up and saying enough. We're done with this game. Dissent.
In terms of escalation, unfortunately, the biggest offender in the global trading system is China, and they're the only country who's escalated. And I can tell the rest of the world that I'm not sure whether it was the prime minister or the economic minister in Spain made some comments this morning, oh, well, maybe we should align ourselves more with China. That would be cutting your own throat.
Oh, when you're hearing words coming out like this, you'll be cutting your own throat. It, to me, puts the biggest smile on my face. Oh, but we're going to get a war with China. You can't be afraid against this. This is our biggest enemy, our biggest foe. And I love what the administration is doing. I love that they are going head on with China. It is the only way to do it. You got to roll up your sleeves. You got to pull off your rings, and you got to be ready for a fight. Because it's coming. And it will get worse before it gets better. So hang in there. I'll continue to bring you all the revelations of this. Remember, at the end of the video, as we transition into our headline stories, I will give you the economic theory, if you want to hang in there with me. It goes beyond 4D chess. Well beyond, because it's already been written. But let's go to my least two favorite characters. Actually, two of my 3 or 4, 5 least favorite characters. Adam Schiff and Cheney. Oh, their nightmare just became a reality, didn't it? Oh, Pelosi's too. I'll tie that in. Adam Schiff and Liz Cheney's worst nightmare comes true. Georgia Republican Representative Barry Loudermilk disclosed that House Speaker Mike Johnson assured him that his inquiry into the attack on the U.S. Capitol on January 6th of 2021 will be formalized now as a new committee. Now that they control both chambers of Congress and the White House, Republicans are pursuing a number of investigations that they began in the last Congress and, mind you, failed. Loudermilk told CNN that while the specifics of the new committee are still being worked out, one possibility is to give Johnson more control over the panel's composition, referred to as our own select committee, and controlling the operations, establishing a new group to draw attention to Loudermilk's work, which includes a report that recommends former GOP Representative Liz Cheney face charges from the FBI. Oh, but she received a pardon. Schiff's going to be regretting that he tried to thumb his nose at his pardon, huh? Of course, there's a little slant in this article, of course. Keeping the Republican campaign focused on preventing President-elect Donald Trump from being held accountable for the January 6th violence. No, this is not what this is about. A lot of information coming out about January 6th. If they are able to expose all the information that is rumored out there, a lot of American minds will change. Those, unlike you, who already know exactly and specifically what I'm talking about. It was so singularly focused that basically Trump created this entire problem, Loudermilk said on the former January 6th Select Committee that Adam Schiff and Liz Cheney helped lead, when in reality, it was a multitude of failures at different levels. Going to tie back into Pelosi now. Johnson has declared in public that the new investigation into January 6th will be fully funded. It's not going to happen. Folks, it's going to happen. And here's why it's going to happen. Because President Trump wants it to happen. You think they have a choice? You think they're the ones calling the shots right now? Oh, hell no. No, he is not done. And I wouldn't be done. You did that to me? Oh, there's going to be a committee. It's going to be so fully funded, and I'm going to make sure you work 12 to 15 hours a day to get me the information I need. That's why it's going to happen. Republican-led January 6th investigation to be its own committee this Congress, even CNN reporting. And why? Because it's going to happen. But the results matter. What will the results be? What have I told you? Until I see some prosecutions and handcuffs, well, then nothing's real, is it? It's all just paper tigers. Republicans reissued subpoenas related to special counsel on top of this, On top of this, Republicans reissued subpoenas related to special counsel Robert Hur's investigation of President Joe Biden's handling of classified documents and 2 Justice Department tax investigations who worked on the Hunter Biden case on Monday. Uh-oh. They're coming. 2 sources familiar with the matter told CNN. Those subpoenas would renew 2 sources. Trump still got a problem in his inner circle. There's still leaks coming out. He's trying to purge it as quick as he can. He's trying to find him. He's trying to root him out. But this is going to be a long time until he finds him, if he's ever able to find them all. The subpoenas would renew pursuits by the previous Congress that have been fought over in court and not resolved for months. This week, Senator Adam Schiff, a Democrat from California, discussed the January 6th committee and rumors that President Joe Biden was thinking about pardoning him, Cheney, and other individuals. Schiff stated on Monday that he does not want Biden to establish a precedent. You remember that? Remember when he stated that? Well, folks, Adam Schiff's probably regretting that statement now because their nightmare is about to be a reality, but not only their nightmare, because Jim Jordan's been focused on one person this entire time, and that is none other than Nancy Pelosi. Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio has demanded the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and members of the January 6th Commission, which was previously chaired by Democrats, and looking into the events at the Capitol in 2021, be looked into. And he's now going to have his format to do that. Jordan quickly stated the inquiry was really a witch hunt to target then-candidate Donald Trump in a brief interview with CNN. Additionally, he stated the commission ought to look into Pelosi's knowledge of the events on January 6th. And they are about to have all their dreams come true. And why? Well, this will help their reelection efforts. This will give President Trump what he's been looking for. This will break the establishment. And if they truly want to break the establishment, this has to happen. But it needs to have results. Jim Jordan demands Nancy Pelosi be investigated after horrific discovery. Now, folks, I've dug in on that statement. Deeply dug in on that statement. And I can't find exactly what that title means. We know all the events surrounding Nancy Pelosi. I've covered them for you. I've covered the videotapes. I've covered the recordings. I can't see much new. All I can see is it was never explored. It was never vetted. A January 6th committee that was one-sided and did zero investigation to determine what had actually occurred and how to prevent it again. All I could find was this. Jordan contends that while Democrats have focused almost exclusively on former President Trump, they have conveniently overlooked a broader spectrum of critical issues. Well, no crap, Sherlock. Ranging from rising crime rates and border security challenges to the persistent pressure of inflation. According to Jordan, Pelosi's handling of the January 6th Commission was far from impartial. Again, nothing really new there. He asserts that she exploited the commission as a political tool. So that could be the horrific discovery, but that's in many of our minds already a reality. An act that may have skewed its focus and diminished accountability. Okay. In his view, an inquiry into her role could uncover significant lapses and reveal a troubling pattern of partisanship that has thus far escaped thorough examination. Well, we were asking for it. It's why we elected President Trump. A mandate for change, a mandate for clarity and exposure, because we want the truth. I don't care what the truth is. I just want the truth. Not what the mainstream media has presented to me and the partisan J6 Commission. I want the truth. So horrific? I don't know if I'd go that far. But then breaking news. You can caught it, and it's kind of even funny because it didn't even make top headlines if you look at it. But did you know that another Trump assassin who you're familiar with, and why we have to say another Trump assassin now, is because he hadn't formally been charged yet. Oh, it's mind-boggling when you think about it. But listen to hear breaking news from Fox News.
Fox News alerted some big news here. The state of Florida is charging failed Trump assassin suspect Ryan Ruth with attempted first-degree murder and terrorism.
Are a long time coming. He tells Fox News that Florida's investigation into Ryan Ruth was delayed more than 200 days because of what he described as stonewalling.
And there you have it. 200 days it took. 200 days to charge Ryan Ruth. That is just despicable. But finally, we have the charges now. Finally, we have momentum. Finally, we have movement. So there, I guess we finally got a charge, even though that one was a foredrawn conclusion. Can't believe that that is a major breaking story. 200 plus days later. The arms of justice, huh? Breitbart Business Digest, a forgotten economic theory behind Trump tariffs. So those of you who don't want the details of this, I understand, and thank you for watching the video. I look forward to your comments. Hope you liked it. We're really taking everything that happens in 24 hours, so you don't have to go searching for it everywhere. I'll provide it to you. And if I missed any story you want me to focus on or any breaking story that's up and coming, let me know. I'll make sure we watch for it. But those of you who want a little bit more detail, we're going to go full screen here, and I'm actually going to read this article almost from start to finish. That's how well it was written. For decades, American elites have spoken of free trade as though it was a moral commandment engraved in stone, unquestionable, sacred, eternal. Tariffs, they say, are relics of the past, economic heresy, an automatic road to higher prices, shrinking output, and worldwide retaliation. What they don't tell you, what most of them don't know, is that some of the most brilliant economists in history developed a theory proving exactly the opposite. Under the right condition, tariffs can make a country richer. The idea goes beyond the name optimum, goes by the name optimum tariff theory. And it's been around since long before modern economists started pretending free trade was a universal good. Long before Donald Trump ever uttered the word tariff, British and classic economists were working out exactly how, when, and why a powerful country could tilt global trade in its favor. Key statement there. And if that sounds familiar, it should. Because Trump's trade policy, especially his 10% baseline tariff on all imports, is a near perfect real-world application of this theory. But before we get there, it's worth pausing to understand what the theory actually says. The core insight is this. When a country is big enough, it can influence world prices. The United States is not a small, open economy. We are the world's largest buyer. When we buy less of something, the world notices. Prices move. Now imagine we put a tariff on imports. That's just a tax at the border. It raises the domestic price of a foreign good. As a result, we buy less of it. But if we're a majority share of global demand for the product, steel, semiconductors, autos, solar panels, whatever it may be, the global prices start to fall. The country selling it can't easily find other buyers because we're the mamba jamba buyer. Supply outstrips demand, so prices drop. In this case, the tariff doesn't just make the product more expensive at home, it pushes down its world price. So when we end up paying less for it than we would without the tariff. We give up some volume of trade, of course we do. But what would we trade? What do we trade? We trade on better terms. This is what economists call a terms of trade gain. However, here's the theory where it gets its name. If you raise tariffs too high, you lose too much volume and the gains vanish. This is a balancing act. If you don't raise them at all, you leave bargaining power on the table, but there is a just right rate, a point at which the term of trade improvement outweighs the lost trade volume. That's the optimum tariff. Think of it like this, Breitbart states. If your local supermarket doubles its prices tomorrow, you probably will shop somewhere else. But if there's only one store in town and it raises prices just a little bit, most people will stay and pay. The store has market power. So do we. Of course, there's a catch. If every country did this, which we saw, Trump was successful because they didn't, except for one. If every nation tried to raise tariffs to extract better deals, the global trade might shrink. Worse, other countries might retaliate with tariffs of their own, as China did. This was the worry of many of the classic economists who developed the theory, and for decades it became the reason to ignore it. Free trade was treated just as policy, not only just as policy, but as virtue. But the theory never disappeared. Now I could go through all the economists, Torrens, Mill, Sidgwick, Edgewood, Bickerdike, Calder, but I won't do that because Trump has uttered the same words that they have. Trump didn't cite these economists. He didn't need to. His instinct told him what they proved in the theory. America has leverage. We are the buyer everyone wants. And when we put a modest price on access to our market, we get better deals in return. That's the logic behind the 10% baseline tariff. That's the logic behind reciprocal tariffs. And that's the logic that they're going to go on and define more. But for you, it's the logic that's defining everything. And why Besant says China doesn't hold the cards. We are a fraction of what they are importing into this country. Thank you, Jeff Bezos and Amazon, and all the other websites that our kids are buying cheap clothes on. And because of that, we have leverage, and Trump is simply exploiting that leverage. They will go into a war of percentages until one breaks. Who do you think it will be? The U.S. or China? I look forward to your comments, and that gives you a little bit more because everyone is trying to undermine a very simple, long-standing economic principle that has driven our economy and is driving our economy into the future to what? Make America great again. And it always comes full circle. I love you all. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justus Knight, signing out.